Hello humans, welcome to my world of stuff. My name is... That's my name. Just doing a quick video tonight. Not something I was particularly expecting to do, but I think I want to record my thoughts on camera for you guys to have a little think about. First of all, though, if you like this channel and this sort of content and a beardy bloke talking to you and pontificating about stuff, why not hit that like and subscribe button? You know, it makes sense. It's where all the action is. And if you want more videos of a scruffy beardy bloke pontificating about stuff, you can get them if you subscribe. So I think you'd be foolish not to, frankly. Your beard will be going next week, incidentally. I'll be clean shaven again, and my youthful features will return when the filming that I've grown all this stuff for is done, I think, sometime next week. So hopefully I should have my fresh-faced appearance again. Anyway, what I want to talk about today, excuse me, is the news that broke today, or was confirmed today, about Jodie Whittaker and Chris Chibnall moving on from Doctor Who at the end of the next batch of episodes over the next 18 months or so. This was rumoured back in, I think it was January, when The Sun, or one of our other quality red top newspapers, started putting out this story that Jodie quits Doctor Who. And Jodie and the production team have kept a professional silence ever since then, as they should, because they were concentrating on filming the new batch of episodes. And the last few months, the press and the fans have been wondering who's going to take over, who's going to be the 14th Doctor. And finally today, the BBC have actually issued a statement confirming, yes, Jodie is leaving after the next series, which... no, our understanding was that this was going to be a series of 8 episodes. Now, according to the press release that came out today, the next series is going to be 6 episodes with 3 specials dotted throughout next year. I think on New Year's Day, spring and the autumn, which will see Jodie leave the role. So it's a truncated run of episodes, which is a disappointment, because I think when the show came back in 2005, we sort of revelled in 13 episodes, and we had that for several years. And it was good because, you know, if there was 1 or 2 duff episodes in a run of 13, then, you know, you can put up with that. But if you've got 6 episodes and there's a couple of duff ones, that's more of a problem. But that's a sort of side issue, really. So Jodie Whittaker's leaving Doctor Who. Chris Chibnall, the showrunner, is also leaving Doctor Who. This news has inevitably had the... Although I haven't looked too much into it, because... that way lies madness. But a lot of the fans who, let's just say, don't like Chris Chibnall's writing and don't like the idea of a lady Doctor Who, they're absolutely wetting themselves today. I have seen 1 or 2 Facebook posts from people who are adults with families who should know better. You know, little party fanfares and, oh my God, the nightmare's over, thank God, thank God. When these are adults watching a television programme reacting like that, it's just very, very odd, very worrying. But then Doctor Who has had a lot of those sorts of fans over the last few years. Doctor Who fans are always very outspoken and vocal anyway about the things they like and the things they don't like, but the Jodie Whittaker thing really polarised the audience. So many of them just did not want a female Doctor. They weren't having it, and no matter how good it may have been, they would not accept it was good, and they just weren't going to have a good word to say about it. But that's the way of fandom, I'm afraid. You get that in Star Wars fandom, you get it in Star Trek fandom. You know, it's very... Science fiction fandom is very needy and very me. And anything that doesn't fit the paradigm that each individual creates for themselves, then they're not having it, and they're going to make sure people know about it. But beyond all that, let's ignore all that background fuzz and background chatter, because it's not important. My reaction to the news is a bit of a disappointment in a way. I sort of hoped that she might stick around for another year or so. If you saw the Comic-Con panel that she did last weekend with Chris Chibnall and Mandip Gill, who plays Yaz, and John Bishop, who's now joined the cast as the new companion Dan, it's quite clear that she adores playing this part, and she adores the character, and she's having a great time doing it. And I saw that and thought, well, maybe she's sticking around another year or so, possibly. But then it has become accepted wisdom now that the actors who play the Doctor do 3 years. And this sort of started really way back with Peter Davison, who did 3 years. And ever since the show came back, apart from Christopher Eccleston, we've had doctors or actors who've stuck around for 3 years. And it seems to be accepted that that's what you do. You move on after 3 years. I think the days of the sort of 5 years with John Pertwee and 7 years with Tom Baker, we're not going to see runs like that again, we're going to get 3 years. And it could be that with the way the show is made now and that the production demands, that 3 years is going to run over 5 years, because by the time Jodie leaves in 2022, she'll have been in the show since 2017. So she'll have done 5 years, but only 3 seasons. Same with Chris Chibnall. I think when he took over the reins of the show, there was sort of talk that he had a 5-year plan for the series, which he will have done, even though he'll have only done 3 series, one of which is, well, in fact, all 3 of his series have been shorter than the 13-episode runs that we were having. These are all production things and about the issues of contemporary production in the pandemic era, which caused difficulties with the filming of this particular series. But to go back to how I feel about Jodie Whittaker, it's always sad when the actor who plays the Doctor goes, whether you've enjoyed their era or not. I mean, Peter Capaldi's era I thought was a bit of a train wreck, but he was great. He was a great actor and he gave it his all. And it was a shame to see him go. And it'll be a shame to see Jodie Whittaker go, because I'll put my hand up. There it is, going up. I was one of the ones who was a bit about the idea of a female Doctor, because I suppose I am a traditionalist, and I'm so used to the Doctor being a man. But times have changed. It has been written into the show's canon, mainly by Stephen Moffat, who didn't really have the guts to sort of do it himself. But it has been written into the canon that the Doctor and all Time Lords can change their gender. So I think it was inevitable it would happen. And in the current sort of cultural climate, I suppose it had to happen. And certainly Chris Chibnall came on board, and it was his fixed sort of agenda, if you like, to have a female Doctor. And I have to say, I don't think you could have picked a better actress or a better suited actress than Jodie Whittaker. Obviously, she'd worked with him before on Broadchurch, so they had a working relationship. And I think that what she brought to it was an energy, a certain energy, albeit an energy based on David Tennant, because I think that she wasn't a big fan of the show before. And I've said this before, I do think that her portrayal was based on some YouTube clips of David Tennant, where she took the view that the Doctor was this eccentric, fast-talking, sort of slightly eccentric, wacky character. And that's pretty much how she's played it. Not necessarily a bad thing, because I like that David Tennant portrayal. And I think that she carried it off with a lot of energy and a lot of charm. And I think, to her credit, she played the Doctor as the Doctor and not as the female Doctor. Because once you got used to the fact that this was a woman playing the part, that didn't really play much of a part in the stories. It wasn't a big thing about her being a woman. So, and I think with a slightly androgynous sort of costume that didn't accentuate her femininity, you could sort of not forget that she was a woman, but it wasn't relevant to the stories and the adventures that she was on. The fact that she was a woman very rarely mattered. She was the Doctor. And I liked the fact that she was able to transcend that perception and that prejudice and just portray a version of the Doctor. Yes, it wasn't a nuanced version of the Doctor. I think if you look at all the actors who played the Doctors, you can say William Hartnell, the irascible old man, Patrick Troughton, the cosmic clown, John Pertwee, the dandy. You've got all those sorts of descriptions that have become accepted as holy writ as to what the Doctor is. I think Jodie Whittaker, how would you sum her up? Lively and enthusiastic, I suppose. If you want to go beyond the female Doctor, you'd have to say that that's what she brought to it. She was just, hyperactive. I don't know if you feel you need to put a label to it. But in the end, I did enjoy her performance. I accept there were problems script-wise. Some of the scripts weren't all they should have been. The first season lacked a certain sense of urgency and jeopardy. But I think the second season, the one which aired last year, hard to believe that was 18 months ago. Wow. I think there was a real sense of jeopardy and excitement and action to that season, again with the reintroduction of the Master, all the stuff about the timeless child, which so many fans have apparently misunderstood, thinking that it completely undoes the history of Doctor Who, and it does nothing of the sort. It just adds another layer to it. I think it was the first time I've been excited about Doctor Who since David Tennant left, because I really wasn't a fan of the 2 eras that followed that. And it just made me feel excited about the show again and really looking forward to watching it. So ultimately, I think it's a shame that she's going. I understand why she is, and I'm not surprised that she is. But I think that she will probably rank somewhere in the middle ranks of anybody's favourite Doctors. And I appreciate that I haven't yet finished my Ranking the Doctors series, which I started months ago. I'm a very bad YouTuber, but it will come. I think she ranked about 6th or 7th or 7th or 8th or something, somewhere in the middle, because I don't think she was a bad she was not bad. She's a great actress, and I think she's clearly giving it her all, and she's having the time of her life. And I suppose I'll miss her in a way, because I'm so used to her being the Doctor, and I think that probably says more about her performance and her characterization than anything else. The fact that I think of her as the Doctor, not as a woman. As far as Chris Chibnall leaving is concerned, I've got no real issues with his writing. Yeah, there were certain creaks and groans to it. I think he overburdened the TARDIS with too many companions, and I think now more than ever it's hard in an hour-long episode to sort of serve all those characters. And there were certain things that didn't work, but I think overall he gave the show its storytelling chops back, which I think it had lost under Stephen Moffat, who tended to come up with ideas, usually the same idea he'd used before, and just build a few jokes around it. And he wasn't a great storyteller. I think that Chibnall was at least aware of the fact you have to tell a story with a beginning, a middle, and end, a proper narrative. And he had his story arcs, and not all of them worked, but then that's always been the way. So I think that I don't care what the trolls say, he's a good writer. Probably didn't give Doctor Who his best, or perhaps found it harder than he thought it would have been, because it is, I can imagine, it's a very hard show to write for. But I think he did a good job overall. He certainly made me more interested in the show. As far as the general audience is concerned, the problem was they'd lost interest over the previous 6 years and moved on to other things, and it's very hard to get an audience back when they move away. So, in conclusion, however, yeah, I think it's been an interesting time for Doctor Who. Not the most productive time, obviously, because we've had reduced episode counts and long gaps between seasons. Doctor Who is a hard show to make. It demands a lot of time, a lot of resources, a lot of hard work, and we're lucky to still get it, I think. So I'm sort of sorry. I'm sorry mainly because all the trolls will be screaming in orgasmic excitement that she's gone. And I hope that she's not regarded as a failure, because she hasn't been. I think the viewing figures have remained fairly steady. I don't care what they say. I think if you look at Doctor Who's viewing figures, say the viewing figures are terrible, they're not. You have to look at all viewing figures set against everything else that's on television, and if you look at the viewing figures for Doctor Who 10 years ago, they're really not that much different than they are now, maybe 2 million down, whereas a lot of other much more popular shows that were much higher in the ratings for Doctor Who have plunged a lot more. So I think Doctor Who is doing okay. So yeah, I'm sorry she's going. I would have loved for her to do another full season after this, but at least I know that she'll walk away from the show having had a good time, and hopefully she's not aware of all the nonsense that's been spoken about her, and she will resume her career with Doctor Who as a very nice notch on her CV, which she will always be proud of, because I think she did the show proud in the end. She wasn't revolutionary. She didn't open up new avenues to the character of the Doctor, although the stories opened up new avenues to the character of the Doctor. But I think she did. She's been a great ambassador for the show. She performed very well. I would like to have seen a bit more, something a bit more, I don't know what. But all in all, she certainly subverted my expectations that the female Doctor thing wouldn't work. And it has worked. I'm not going to pontificate about who I think should be the next Doctor. I'm not going to theorise about who it could be. We'll just wait and see. So anyway, those are my thoughts on the news about Doctor Who today. Let me know what you think. If you're one of the trolls and you're going to say, oh, the witch is dead and all that nonsense, please don't, because I'll just delete the message. But if you want to have an intelligent discussion on what you've liked about her, even what you haven't liked about her, but don't just say, I don't like a woman Doctor, because I'm not interested. What you think, where you think we might go for the future, what you'd like to see for the future. Leave a comment down below and subscribe, and I'll see you all again soon for another video. Until I do, you know what they say, keep taking the stuff.